Hello, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. Welcome to everybody who is joining us on Facebook, on YouTube here for our Coffee with Husker Big Red, our Saturday morning live chat. We don't have a football game anymore. We do got plenty of stuff going on this weekend. A lot of things happening with the football program. A big basketball game today as the Huskers try to improve to 18-0 on the road against Northwestern. So we can talk about that. We'll talk about the whole Mike Ekeler situation, more help for the transfer portal, a lot of other things happening. So hop in the chat. Let us know what you want to talk about. And yeah, how are you doing on this Saturday morning, Danny?
Good. I'm waiting for my Patriots to play tomorrow. Like I always say, my Michigan is Miami. I also cover Miami, so I'm waiting for the national championship game. It's kind of interesting to see the stark difference between the Huskers and Hurricanes. But I'm hoping for a good game on Monday and busy time with the transportal, busy time with the Patriots, busy time with the national championship game. So I'm tired, but it's a good tired, and I can't often say that I'm a good tired, so.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's always a great weekend, a football divisional round,
Yeah.
one of my favorite rounds. So we got 49ers Seahawks tonight, Bills Broncos, then Texans Patriots tomorrow, Rams at the Bears tomorrow. So yeah, should be a lot of interesting matchups. And
any Nebraska alumni playing this weekend?
I'm looking around. Nobody that sticks out to me that I know. I mean, I know that the Eagles got beat last week with Juergens. I can't remember anybody that's significant on any of these teams. Could be wrong. But yeah, so I'm not sure any trying to think of any Nebraska flavor there. Yeah, so hopefully the Patriots, I mean, everything's set up really well for them. They, played really well, I thought. Drake May played well in his first start, so won't turn this into a Patriots hour, but it's it's just a fun weekend of football when you have the four divisional games. So my hope is that the Patriots win and the Bears lose. That's all I really care about.
There are actually some. I had to think, but I actually had to think. I looked it up, but there are some.
Okay, so who we got?
Luke Gifford with the 49ers.
Okay, yeah, I should have known that one.
We have Brendan Hymes with the Patriots. I forgot he was on that practice squad.
Who is that again? What's
Brendan Hymes, the center? Or
okay.
Was he the center?
Okay.
Do you remember him?
I don't remember him. No, I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, he was in during the Frost era. And then let's see, we have. You said the Eagles were eliminated, obviously, and then Tampa Bay's in it, right?
No, they're out now too.
All right, so out of all the playoff teams in general before this weekend, you had Ty Robinson with the Eagles, Nash with the Bucks, Brendan Hymes with the Patriots, and Luke Gifford with the 49ers. So,
and Juergens with the Eagles too.
And Juergens with the Eagles too, yeah.
Yeah, and good Gifford, 25 tackles this year. So I mean, not he's actually made some contributions for the 49ers this year. So I don't know. That's gonna be it's gonna be a really good game. 49ers Seahawks. I mean, really, I feel like as much as I hate to say I hate the Bears, but I feel like anybody in the NFC could really get through, and that's probably the same case for. I feel the same way in the AFC, except maybe. Yeah. I don't want to say the Texans because that's who the Patriots are playing, but I just don't feel like they, CJ Stroud just doesn't look like the part to me right now. But you never know. Maybe hopefully he doesn't have his best game on Sunday, but I mean, you never know. But that's my take on it right now. Anyway, I'm sure you guys want us to talk to Nebraska. So yeah,
I feel like the Bills because I'm not sold on the Broncos as the top seed. I really am not, and I haven't been the whole year. I mean, when you look at their scores. They're very they're gritty, grinding out wins, and that's what you have to do in a regular season. But I'm not sold on Denver. I like Bo Nix, but I'm just not sold on Denver.
And it's tough when you get, I mean, that's kind of was my question with the Patriots, with May and Bo. It's hard sometimes in your first playoff appearance or two. It's hard as a quarterback, and Josh Allen's obviously been there a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Bills have been my pick going into it. I just feel like it's their time, but we'll see. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be. I feel like I said this. I think last week. I think Chris Berman's going to get his dream Super Bowl that he's been. Bills 49ers. He's been talking about that for years. So we'll see. We did get some guys in the chat here. Good morning, James. Good to see you back. Thanks for coming in the chat again, Lord Cat. Good. Good to see you again, Co. And. Huskers for life. Thanks for joining us.
Someone needs coffee this morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I guess we can talk about Mike Ekeler first. And before we get into it, everybody, if
Mm.
you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and as you guys already are here, get in the comment section. Let us know what you want to talk about here. But yeah, some more revelations, I guess. I don't know revelations, but Matt Rule did offer up some interesting comments, I thought, on Mike Ekeler yesterday, and basically said. It's not my fault if the guy's, has one foot in, 1 foot out the door type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It was kind of interesting. Definitely doesn't seem like Mike Eckler's coming back at this point. I'd
No.
be very surprised if he did. But he also, this was the more interesting thing I thought. And this is from Sam McKeon from the Omaha World Herald. And this Matt Rule did an interview with, just us on Huskers.com or whatever, with their own media people, but this is a direct quote. It's not about playing special teams for special teams' sake. It's about helping the team win. If there's one thing we can do better next year, it's not for the glory of the special teams or the special teams coach or whatever. It's for the unit. Not everyone likes that. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of seemed like a pretty
Yeah,
direct shot at Mike Eckler. So I don't know what you think about that. What did you think about what Matt Rule said? In his interview last night.
that was pretty direct. I thought it was interesting, and um, I'm very careful because I don't want to spread rumors or speculation. But 12 stops in 15 years doesn't happen by accident. So maybe there's some truth to the fact that he's hard to work with. And there was a point in the interview, and we just talked about it before the show, where he said special teams might be better. I don't know if they'll be better, but I feel like they can at least be what they were. Like they'll hit like an even slope, not necessarily better or worse. Because there were times, especially towards the end of last season, where the special teams did not necessarily play great. But yeah, no, as far as Matt Rule's comments are concerned, given Mike Eckler's history of bouncing around, I kind of believe him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and you definitely felt like there was some tension last year between the two. The sideline demeanor was kind of strange. So yeah, it would be if Mike Eckler does go to USC, which sounds like that'll happen. It would be Josh Martin, Nick Humphrey, who was a special teams analyst the last year. He was a linebacker at Tennessee, and basically, played on some of the special teams there. And then Brett Maher is the other guy. So it would be, three guys there. And I mean, like, I don't deny that Mike Eckler is probably difficult to work with or some of those things. Like, I'm not saying that this is all his fault, but I just really have a hard time seeing, the special teams being as productive, with him out the door, because it's like, I mean, so Josh Martin's going to be your special teams coordinator. He was here, when it was really bad. I mean, he was the special teams assistant when things were really bad, under Ed Foley, and he obviously wasn't, like, when Ed Foley got fired, he obviously wasn't the choice. So, it's clear that you would be, going with more of a secondary option. And I mean, like, yeah, maybe they weren't perfect all year. I know they didn't play great against Iowa, but I mean, they were top 20 in, punt return yards and kick return yards and kick return defense and punt return defense. So I don't know. It's going to be hard, I feel like, to replicate, some of those numbers with him being gone. I mean, that's just, it seemed pretty clear that he came in and kind of transformed things. And, if Josh Martin had the ability to do that, like, why did they just hire Josh Martin when Ed Foley was gone? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I just, like, hopefully it will be better with Eckler, having a year here. Yeah, sometimes great coaches are hard to work with. And so, that's, if, I think at the end of the day, he probably wanted to. I think this all comes down. He probably wants to coach something more than special teams. And if you look at, coaching, the way coaching goes, I mean, it's hard to blame the guy, because last year, he had the best, or one of the better special teams units in the country. I mean, Nebraska last year was, before he took over. If you want to look at the Kelly Ford, special teams ratings, I think they were like 115th or something. They were way outside the top 100. This year, they finished in the top 20. So I mean, that was a dramatic. They went up over 100 spots in improvement this year. So, like, Mike Eckler did as good a job coaching special teams as anybody in the country. And, Matt Rule is going to offer him to be the highest paid coach. That's $850,000. You know how much coordinators make? You know how much offensive and defensive coordinators make? Millions of dollars. Position coaches make sometimes millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, not at college per se. You don't have guys like that as much. But, I mean, I can understand where he's like, man, if I'm the best special teams coordinator in the country. I can't even make $1 million a year. So I mean, I understand on that part of it where he's coming from. He's only got so many years to coach, like, you know. So I mean, I get it. If you could get yourself in there as a position coach, you know, try to move up and be, you know, like a coordinator, even a co-coordinator, like there's a lot more money on it. So I don't know. I mean, I can get it. And, you know, I don't know. Would that been a huge issue to like let him help out on defense? Like, I don't know if that would have appeased him enough. Like, I'm not sure. That's just me speculating.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't even know if that's the issue. And because we don't even know if he's going to coach a defensive position at USC. They don't have any openings right now. So it seems like he's just going to be coaching special teams. So I don't know if it will be, I think, a bit of a blow to see him, you know, take a lateral move. But I mean, that does happen sometimes. Hopefully, like I said, he's helped some of these coaches, you know, improve as well as the players. And hopefully, you know, they can keep it moving forward. But I'm very skeptical. I know, I mean, of course, Matt Rule's not going to say it's going to get worse. I mean, why would he say that? He's got to express confidence in his guys, but they're going to have to step up. So hopefully, you know, I do think that, you know, Brett Maher is a really good, you know,
Yeah.
guy to have working with your kickers, you know, so I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
And Josh Martin has been a special teams coordinator before. I looked up his stats at SMU. I feel like I'm going on forever here, so sorry about that.
No, the floor is
I mean,
yours.
it's hard to, you know, I couldn't look up like kick and punt return stats from 2019. Like I
They
just, the
are very
NCAA,
hard to find, aren't they? Yeah.
yeah, the NCAA website just doesn't like let you go back. So
Yeah.
all I could really go on was the kick return yardage and the punt. And so in 2 years as SMU special teams coach, they had 3 kickoff return touchdowns. They actually had the leading in 2019. They had the leader in the American Conference in kickoff return yards. They averaged more kickoff return yards than Nebraska did this season. The punt return yardage was like 8 per attempt, and Nebraska was actually 13 this year. The punts were about the same, 39 yards per attempt. So, you know, Josh Martin did a pretty good job before, and hopefully with some of that scheme stuff from Mike Ekeler, you know, he's learned and gotten in better and improved, and you know, he can get it moving forward. So you know, I'm not saying that I'm not worried. And the thing that worries me, I guess, about it is you look back at this year, you know, special teams did have an impact in a couple of games. Like the Maryland game was a big one. You know, and then Northwestern. Those are 2 games that, you know, it maybe if they don't have those kickoff return for touchdown and that big one against Maryland, like maybe they don't win those games. So when you're a program that has to win on the margins like Nebraska, it worries me to see the special teams maybe drop off. So hopefully they don't, but I do think that's a legit concern going forward. Not that Matt Rule's not making the right move to hire Mike Ekeler. I think both of those things can be true at the same time. You know, like it can be the right move to move on, but it can also still, you know, impact on field performance, I think.
For sure, and honestly, just out of all of this, I feel bad for the Michigan State long snapper who committed just a couple weeks ago, and I really feel bad for Archie. I hope Archie finds a home. You know, maybe if Eckler goes to USC with USC. I mean, just from a human perspective, you know, this kid went from Australia to the United States to play football, misses his family, understandably. I mean, who wouldn't? You're halfway across the country, and I really, really hope Archie gets a place to go wherever Mike lands, because I feel bad for him.
I mean, he could stick with Nebraska because we'll need a punter, you know. So hopefully they'll get him to stick around. But yeah, that'll be that's going to be really interesting. And there was a guy that who knows these message boards, but he said he actually sat on the plane with Mike Ekeler yesterday, and he was like going to Los Angeles. That's what this guy said on the message boards, and he said he talked to Mike about it, and it's just, you know, he wants to coach defense. So I don't know. We'll see how it all works out.
I feel like letting Mike coach defense would kind of just be like, I don't know, settling. Like, I'm happy if that was a breaking point. I'm happy that string was broken, so to speak.
I mean, he did coach at what did he coach outside linebackers at Tennessee? Is that right? I think he did it in Nebraska before too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he should have been the defensive coordinator or anything. But then again, would he have been happy, like, you know, coaching a position and coaching special teams? Which, I mean, it's not, you don't really see that much anymore now. Josh Martin, when he was the special teams coach at SMU, he also coached tight ends, but it's a different sport now, and they're not really doing that anymore. And that's,
you
of course,
can have 25 analysts, per game on the field. So
yeah. And they brought this other guy from Tennessee, so hopefully, you know, he'll have some ideas too, and you know,
we got
I think having better players, you know, probably helps too. And It's kind of was interesting with Josh Martin coaching tight ends at SMU and doing special teams is your tight ends are a really important part of your special teams nowadays. So,
Yeah,
um, linemen just aren't really in it anymore in terms of, I mean, they are on like the, your punt protection, your kickoff protection, but like your linemen aren't really part of the kickoff game anymore. And that they used to be a big part of your wedge. And now that the wedges have kind of gone away in terms of they're doing the smaller wedges, the tight ends kind of play a big role. So, anyway, I did think, was beyond what Matt Rule said about, Ekeler and that whole situation. So it looks like even, if Ekeler does leave, there's not going to be like a search for another coach. They're just going to, kind of promote from within, which probably is the best thing to do at this point. I'm not
yeah.
sure who you would really, be able to find. So, the other thing I thought was interesting, and yeah, they did get a new safeties coach, Miles Taylor. And then they did officially announce also Corey Brown as well. And well, I'm just going through it. Nebraska's going to be adding flag football, which I think is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot about it. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's going to be a varsity sport,
Let's see. I'm looking at the
or is it
release.
going to
Yeah,
be?
it will be a varsity sport. And so they've been playing flag football as the first sport Nebraska's added since beach volleyball in 2013. It's the first Nebraska's the first Power 4 conference school to add flag football. They will
That's
play in
awesome.
the spring of 2028. The season's going to go from January to May. That's cool. Sweet. I love it. Let's get some. Flag football is actually really kind of a fun sport, I feel like. And it's an Olympic sport now. So there's going to have a roster of approximately 15 players by the start of the fall semester for 2026. So, yeah,
Can you imagine trying to chase after Tyreek Hill in flag football?
yeah.
I'd be like, all right, I'm done. You can get that touchdown. I'm out of gas.
I haven't had the chance to cover it yet, but there's like high school flag football here in Montana, and they have like a state championship, and it's pretty exciting sport. So I think that's
awesome.
a cool thing for Nebraska. But anyways, long story short, there, some of the things that Matt Rule was talking about, I wanted to bring up running back because I thought you said something interesting. Now he said, they're happy with the running back room, but in another statement, he also said there's going to be, one or two more transfers coming. So do you still think that, there's a hope of bringing in Shamar Brown, or is this running back room, going to be what it is?
Yeah, I mean, again, just like his special teams coach, he's not going to say "f my running back room." I do think there's going to be, another addition, like he said. I've always thought that there's been another addition coming, so I wouldn't worry too much yet. I'd start, kind of looking after Monday's game. So I still think Brown is very much on the table.
So he was asked about not adding one so far. He said, this is Matt Rule. I quote, "We look for everything, evaluate every position, but we like the RB room." I mean, yeah, they said that last year and they went after some guys. They didn't end up bringing them in, but I do think, yeah, if Brown enters the portal, so that's kind of what we're still waiting for, which would come obviously after Monday's championship game. There's still some other guys out there. So I don't know. I'm not sure if they, are going to make a run at Brown. And then if he doesn't, they'll try to pivot to somebody else. I really have a hard time believing they're not going to add anybody to this running back room, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they'll add they won't add anybody. Although I will say, and this isn't me advocating for not adding, I was impressed with the way the running back room played in the Las Vegas Bowl. That was one position, basically out of all of them, that played well. So I was encouraged by their progress. And I like Connor Booth. So if you add a veteran in like Brown, for example, plus the running back room that we currently have, I feel a lot better than I did, even at this time. A month ago.
Yeah, I mean, Mekhi Nelson, I thought did really well in the bowl game, and so did Isaiah Mosley. I thought they both ran well.
Yeah,
I think it was either 20. It was 23 or 29 touches, but they had 216 total yards. So they both, made some plays rushing and receiving. So and then Jamarian Parker left via the portal, correct? So
Yep.
he's gone. Okay, I just wanted
kind of a bummer, but.
So they still got Quentin Ives. I mean, nobody really talks about him, but he's still coming back. And still have Isaac Dickey. So yeah, I mean, probably your three top guys, would be right now Mosey, Nelson, Ives, and then Connor Booth. So we'll see. It seems like they could probably use another one there, but who knows? It's just especially. I guess it's not going to be like you do have Calandria too, so I feel like that's going to take some pressure off the running backs.
Yeah, you
And
don't
so,
have a statue in the pocket now, so you
you
can
know, like
actually run with your quarterback a little bit.
I mean, just thinking from a practical perspective, like you have to replace what 1,400 rushing yards from Emmett Smith, or Emmett
Emmett
Smith, Emmett
Johnson, Emmett
Johnson.
Johnson, Emmett Johnson.
He looked like Emmett Smith for a big part of this
Yeah,
season.
yeah.
So that's hilarious. But the way I'm thinking about it, if your quarterback can get you 500 rushing yards, which you didn't have last year, then that becomes a lot more, palatable. Then it's like, okay, then we just need a running back to come up with like 900. And I feel like that, Nelson or Mosley probably could do that if they were the full-time back. And if I mean, like when I watched that game, I honestly was like, okay, why didn't these guys get more touches? I mean, I understand why, because Emmett Johnson was so freaking good. Like it would have been hard to not give him the ball.
Yeah, it was a
So,
tough spot for Danny to be in. So I definitely got it, but I was thinking the same thing. But I'm like, you don't take out a guy who's basically averaging 1,000 yards a game. Not
yeah,
not literally. So don't come
I
at me in the
mean,
comments. But it felt like that some days.
yeah. And I know I called him Emmett Smith, Freudian slip of the tongue, but he did remind me of Barry Sanders this year. I'm not lying. Like his
Yeah.
running style and the way he was making guys juke and like they just like no, when a running back when he was like straight up on a guy, like I don't remember one time this year where a guy just like one-on-one got Emmett Johnson to the ground, like full on. Like he might have like juked and like got his arm like when Barry Sanders was getting tackled, it was like he was still like slipping through tackles as he was getting tackled, and that's how it was with Emmett Johnson. It was like even when they got him down, it felt like it wasn't ever a full tackle. So yeah, and so I mean I understand why they didn't play these guys, but I mean Nelson's been getting talked up for years, and not years, 2 years, but still, it was good to see him finally produce. And if they don't get a running back, then I guess we'll go from there. But having a mobile quarterback that can add some dynamic playmaking ability, I think is definitely going to help with that, being able to run the zone read and RPOs they did run some RPOs last year. They ran when they beat Maryland, when they threw that touchdown to Dane Key, that was an RPO. But when you can actually turn on the quarterback read as part of the RPO, that's just going to make it even more dangerous. So
and not only do they have one quarterback that's a mobile quarterback, the entire quarterback room can now run.
Yeah, and
I was going down the list, and
mm-hmm.
Kalen can run. I have no idea. Maybe you know how to pronounce the new kid's name.
I don't know.
Tanner. Tanner.
I think it's Babadul.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Tanner can run. I think he had like something like 2,000 rushing yards in his career, and
he had 1,100 last season, so
900 last season. Yeah,
1,100.
Oh, 1,100. So maybe more than that. But anyway, I'll have to check. But he can run. TJ can run, and Calandria can run. So, I mean, I think it's clear that they want to get away from the pocket passing quarterback. And I liked the pocket passing quarterback initially, but after watching last season, I kind of really like having a running one too.
Well, it's just like, even if you look at the NFL, I mean, looking at the guys who are playing today, I mean, how many are like CJ Stroud, like, yeah, he's not a dual threat, but he can run if he needs to. Drake May can run if he needs to. Josh Allen can run. Bo Nix can run. Brock Purdy can make plays with his legs. Caleb Williams can obviously do that. Sam Darnold has been able to do that too. And I'm blanking on, Stafford's probably the only guy that you would sit back there and say is a statue. And he's, he has pocket awareness. So, he's kind of the Drew Brees, like veteran type, you know what I mean? So it's like, you don't see very many quarterbacks that don't have that mobile ability anymore. I mean, Stafford's probably the last one that went drafted really high that was didn't have some ability to, run the football. Like he's probably, not running zone reads and stuff in college, but almost every other guy that gets drafted, like number one, that's what they do anymore. So yeah, I think it's just, like, it's not a great place to not be a mobile quarterback. And if you're going to be a pocket quarterback, like you got to be elite in the pocket. And, that's somewhere where Dylan, if he's going to get better at Oregon, he really needs to work on his pocket awareness. And I mean, they have a lot better offensive line, so I'm sure that'll help. But, I think ultimately, like he'll play well when he does get to play there. But,
and if it doesn't work out, his brother's already grandfathered into the program, so they can go to him if need be.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was crazy. And that's so fine when everybody said like, oh, the Dayton thing's not connected to Dylan Rayola. Well, of course it was, because Dayton was never a legitimate recruit. Like if Dayton was getting recruited on his own accord, he'd be playing for Charlotte next year. You know what I mean? So like, as soon as Dayton left, like everybody kind of knew what was going to happen, and all the people were being like, "This is fake news," and blah blah blah. Well, not really, you know. And so I just like let's take that as a lesson, folks, that sometimes the news is not fake.
While I'm thinking of it, did you see that Jalen Lloyd ended up in Florida?
I did see that. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and
I
I don't
think
know.
that could be like I know how like I saw all the Gator fans like we have 75 receivers. Why do we need another one? Sound familiar, right? But no, I think like he could be real. Like if somebody just gets in the ball and he uses his speed, like he could be really really good. And I am betting that he's going down there for track too, and probably football is just another option for him. But I was like, wow, talk about landing upwards. You know,
I
from
mean,
Oklahoma State to Nebraska to Florida. I mean, he'll take it.
yeah, I didn't see what he did at Oklahoma State, but you know, I just remember his freshman year, and we had Chuba Purdy at quarterback, and well, and whoever else, you know, Heinrich and whoever else. But I remember that it was him and excuse me, it was him and um, Marvin Harrison Jr. were like the only players in the conference to have like multiple touchdowns over 50 yards. So, I mean, that first season he had 6 catches for 237 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he does have, you know, that explosive, you know, ability. Just has to be refined. I always thought like a return guy, he could be, you know, good in that area too. So yeah, he had 0 catches last year, he said so, but he had 13 for 255 as a sophomore for Nebraska. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's sometimes you wish, you know, maybe he'd stuck it out, but
Who are you talking about here, Co? I just want to make sure that that I get who you're talking about. But yeah, no, I thought Florida was interesting.
yeah, what was that comment? They
I
have
know.
to. Okay. Okay, so here's Co. Yeah, they have to add an RB. I refuse to think differently. You guys have also kept saying that he was.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out Dylan's brother. I mean, I think he could be really good. I don't think he's Oregon level. I mean, let's be real here. I feel like he could. I feel like he was better than a Charlotte potentially. You know, I feel like he's better than Appalachian State potentially, but he's definitely not Oregon caliber. And this was definitely, you know, if you deal with the Raiola package deal, the brother's going to end up wherever Dylan goes.
Yeah, I mean it is an interesting situation because I mean, yeah, he's ranked like 2,000 or whatever. I mean, he probably. I mean, I could see him being ranked a little bit higher.
He could be really good. He's not Oregon level at all.
Yeah, like
And I don't
he's
even
a
know how
group of
Dylan's
five
going to fit.
level.
I don't even know how Dylan's going to fit in the Oregon offense because when I think of Oregon quarterbacks, I don't think of Dylan Raiola's play style.
Yeah, no, I definitely it's more of a dual threat guide. So he's gonna have to really work on his body, and they're just gonna have to play differently because he's not a running quarterback. And I don't see him ever being a running quarterback. Yeah, and so I'm gonna with Dayton. I mean, yeah, I don't know if we were, you know, I mean, he was a Nebraska commit, so we were probably, you know, trying to see the rosy, you know, the seeing things through the red colored glasses. But I mean, I do think he probably, you know, based on how he played, he probably could be ranked a little bit higher, but
No,
still,
I definitely think he was underranked, just not like Oregon, like national championship playoff caliber team level of quarterback. I mean, and it's also just
yeah.
obnoxious because he got it because of his brother and his father, and he's not an Oregon quarterback.
Yeah, I think he would be, you know, good in the group of five or something. But yeah, and
Yeah.
some people said like that's what he was going to do when he was going to transfer, and obviously that's not what happened. So I do agree though. Back to this one, they have to have a running back. I refuse to think differently. I really do believe this too. I just, you know, I don't think the running back room is good enough right now. And there's guys out there, like I said, I know, you know, I've mentioned Dylan Edwards' name. Not that I've been following him; he could have committed to somebody else. But you know, there's guys out there, and I feel like they have targets, and they're just kind of playing the waiting game. And like I said, if you've only got so much money to spend, which they probably don't have very much right now, or at least it's like a limited amount that they've probably budgeted for running back. So
I
you
really
know,
feel like they're waiting on Brown. I really, really do. I hope I'm right.
yeah, I do too. I hope you're right too on that one, because that would
But,
be a starting level guy to bring in here. You know, that there would be no question about that.
but you know why they might have a little bit less money to spend on running backs? Because they just got a new defensive lineman from Boston College.
Right. Yeah, they did just get a new.
Owen Stoudemire.
Yeah, who 6'2", 290 or 6'1", excuse me, 292 pounds. And yeah, is a guy that really played pretty well, honestly. Like if they could get the Stodmeyer from 2024, he had 30 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, a couple sacks. Last year he started 3 games and then was injured and redshirted. They didn't really say what the injury was. The coaching staff was really kind of weird about it, so I'm not sure if it was like an off the field type of situation. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but seems like he'll be healthy. And yeah, so I like picking up Stodmeyer. I feel like that they've really upgraded the trenches on both sides of the ball. Now, maybe they haven't added like a massive impact player, but I do think Berberja, the JUCO, I think he has a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah, so that's how you pronounce his last name, Berberja?
That's what I'm going with right now. So probably not, but I'm doing the best I can.
No, I just wanted to be sure because I pronounced it Berberija. So
Berberija. That probably sounds better. Berberija. Let's go with that.
So yeah.
Either way, I think he's going to be a player for this team.
We're gonna learn how to pronounce his name as he records 15 sacks and becomes an All-American. So no, but I do agree. Like, and I said that I felt good about the Oregon guy taking the last visit to us. I know people like, oh, in the portal, with portal players, you don't necessarily want to do that. That was before the Stodmeyer commitment. Now I'm wondering if the Stodmeyer commitment means that Green is off the board, Terrence Green. But what's your take on that? That's what I got from it.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. Yeah, I feel like he's probably going to go off the board to Alabama, or Cal will overpay to get him. So, that's my take on it. But yeah, and let's see. So a couple things here. Dakosa, they're waiting on Brown. Do agree with that. Going to be interesting to see how loud the stadium will be when Dylan comes to play. And I'm not, because I believe this year Nebraska is going to Oregon, so I'm not sure that he will come back to Lincoln. So maybe though. We'll have to wait.
I think 2027. I think.
I mean, since they go there this year, there's that'd be really interesting. The downside of all these guys they keep getting is they have some kind of injury.
And then he says not all, but a couple of them.
Yeah, so what? Stodmeyer is coming off an injury. I'm trying to think who else here. Anthony Jones. Yeah, is he coming off an injury too? Did he
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I still like him though as well. And again, like I'm saying, I do think that this defensive line, these pieces fit, the 4-2-5 better. So yeah.
Honestly, at this point, I'll just take a warm body on the defensive line, and if that can get a stop, then that's an improvement from last year.
I mean, you look at it, more help for the trenches. So I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. And you've got a defensive end / edge. You've got Anthony Jones, you've got Cameron Leonard, you've got Cade Petrizak, you've got Williams Noweri. So I feel like that's a pretty good, 4-person group to be starting with. Guys that have, a couple guys that have produced in Leonard and Jones, and a couple of up and comers who their best football's ahead of them. So I like that combination. And then you look at defensive tackle, and I think Berberija, is that how we said we're going to pronounce it? Berberija.
I believe so, yeah.
I feel like he's got a really good chance to come in here and start. I just, that's my take there. I think Van Poppel is going to have a chance. I don't know that Stodmeyer's like surely going to come in here and start. I think he'll compete for a job. I think Whittington's going to compete for that job too. So I mean, you got 4 pretty good options there. You've also got David Hofkin, I think, who's developed okay. I mean, I watched him last year, and he made some solid plays in Big Ten games, like against the run. So I think as a run stopper and a guy that just really has a ton of potential. He's like 6'7", 285 pounds.
Yeah.
So like he could play multiple spots on the line, and then you have Malcolm Simpson and Tyson Terry, and hopefully both of those guys can get healthy. I mean, they were hindered by injuries. I know Tyson Terry had the season-ending one, in high school, so hopefully they'll be in a better position to contribute. Then you got Gabe Moore too, who was going to be on the 2 deep at Mississippi State, and I think will fit better in this defense as well. So, I mean, there's not a lot of maybe not an all Big Ten guy in there, maybe not any all conference guys in there, but I do feel like that they have solidified the trenches, with all of these moves.
Hey, if you can fill a gap, fill a hole. That's all I ask. That's all I want. I mean, there were times last year where I could have rolled my power wheelchair through the holes that our defensive line was giving up to opposing running backs. So as long as you can fill a hole, uh, you know, then that's good enough for me. Fill a hole, make a tackle. Worry about the accolades after. I just want some basic run stopping, please. I can't do another season of no run stopping.
Yeah, I think they're the blue chip guys that they've recruited. They need to get the most out of them. I mean, like
Yeah,
Bradley Van Poppel was a blue chip. Nowhere obviously was a
he played
5-star
better.
coming out of high school. Patrizak, Malcolm Simpson, like they need Corey Brown to get the most out of those guys. So hopefully, he can do that. He's got a strong track record of bringing sacks with him and things like that as a technician. So hopefully that'll translate over to Nebraska. But yeah, I think those hires are going to really, Corey Brown, Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley. If this team, is able to improve the season, not necessarily based on the record, but just, the eye test, I think that it will be a large result of those coaches and some of these transfer portal additions. I definitely feel better about the offensive line than the defensive line. But yeah, I feel like they've done a pretty good job upgrading there. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I feel like they've done a good job, and I mean, to me, it spoke volumes that Jeep Wade was able to like remake the offensive line in just a matter of weeks, while Donovan Raiola couldn't seem to do it in his 3 years. And you look at the size of this offensive line, and it's clear that Jeep wants big tough guys. I mean, there's not a guy that's under 300 pounds, I believe, on the offensive line. So, I mean, he wants some hog mollies on the line, and hopefully that will help Shamar Brown run through big holes for touchdowns.
So back to the defense.
Yeah,
Simpson intrigues me if he can develop.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do this year. I was hoping he could make a bigger impact last season, but yeah, just injuries and whatnot. But yeah, they've got some interesting guys there. So we'll see. Maybe outside of Chamar Brown, I feel like they're pretty set. So I mean, you look at quarterback. I mean, obviously, that's going to be an interesting competition, I guess.
I'm
But it's going to
excited
be
for Calandria.
yeah, and we're actually going to have a spring game this year, March 28th. So that'll be we'll actually get to see him this year.
Oh, are we? I missed that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that they said last night. Is that
Oh,
there'll be a
nice.
spring game March 28th. So
It'll be
I think
televised.
yeah, I think with the transfer portal being out of the not having a spring window, I think that will bring back some spring games this year. So
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
true.
think the Big Ten wants them back because they like to broadcast all of them and they missed out on a lot of chance. So
March
yeah,
28th is early, but I'm here for it.
yeah, it is kind of early. They've held theirs later in the past few years,
Yeah.
but yeah, who knows why they moved it up when they did. Yeah, no spring transfer portal. The poach players will make it. That'll make it
Yeah,
nicer. And
no. So I didn't realize that. That's awesome. I can't wait to because I can see the team.
yeah, so that'll be a lot better for fans than the stupid stuff they were doing last year. And so yeah, it'll be fun to see how this quarterback thing kind of plays out. Obviously, I think Calandry is going to be the starter. Steve Sipple reported they're paying him like $1.5 to $2 million to be
Yeah.
the quarterback. I mean, yeah, I think they got a pretty good one in him. But it will be interesting to see how much TJ Lateef has stepped forward and what Daniel Kalen's done. So I do think it's that backup quarterback job is going to be really interesting moving forward, as probably as interesting as the starting quarterback job, which I think is obviously going to go to Calandria.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's much intrigue in who's gonna be the starter because I think it's gonna be Calandria. I am intrigued at that number 2 spot because I do think Kalen and Latif will have a legitimate battle there.
Yeah, and whoever takes that, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't shock me at all if TJ transferred after this
Yeah.
year and
Hmm.
Danny steps in as the starter and he's basically the starter until Trey's ready. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
see.
it's just kind of crazy. Like we gave up on Danny because Dylan. It was all about Dylan, and now we're still able to get Danny back and have him play. It's like a full circle moment. Because, and again, this is not any verifiable information. This is just me being me. I bet there was really no choice to have a quarterback competition when Dylan was here.
Yeah, no, you couldn't really have a competition when Dylan was here. No.
I bet Dylan's camp or people and the fact that he was viewed as one of the best quarterbacks in the country made it very difficult for Danny, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like that. Yeah, I don't think there was ever, like an actual competition,
Yeah.
For the job. So, yeah, as far as the offensive line, what's like, I think it's fairly clear how it's going to be, unless some other guys really step forward. But I think it's going to be Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, Paul Mubinga at left guard, Justin Evans at center, Brendan Black at right guard, and Tree Babalade at right tackle. That's how I
I
see
think
it.
Paul Mubinga can be really good. I was looking at him the other day a little bit more, and I feel like he's a very, very good pickup. I wasn't. I know Jeep Wade has connections with the Mubinga family because I believe he recruited Mubinga's brother, and so I bet that's how that came about. But I'm really intrigued by Paul Mubinga. I dove into him a little bit more.
Yeah, he started 11 games at LSU. I think he started the last 5 or so this year at left guard, potentially at least 5 this year. So yeah, I think he's going to step in and take that spot. Yeah, I think let's see. I'm not convinced all these transfers will be hits. One of the younger recruits might beat one out. Yeah, I mean it's possible. It just doesn't seem, I don't know. I
If we
mean,
haven't
like,
heard from Grant Bricks and Preston Tamua by now, especially Grant Bricks, then I don't know if we ever will.
I mean, yeah, if Grant Bricks can't beat out Turner Corcoran, I mean, to me that was pretty self-evident that wasn't,
I know what you're saying, and I know you're not trying to be funny, but like, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Matt Rule kind of does have this thing where he likes to play seniors, I think, which, I'm like, this isn't it's show business, man. It ain't show friends. Like, who cares? I don't care how long Turner Corcoran's been on the team, but if he was the best guy last year, then, so
the way he played, you would think he was a freshman. So maybe Rule got confused. So many players to watch on his team. Maybe he thought Turner was a freshman. No, I'm joking, but yeah, I do kind of wonder about Grant and Preston a little bit. And
I mean, you got because like Babalade, which probably not pronouncing that right either, but I mean he started 15. He started 15 games in the SEC. Mubanga started 11 games in the SEC. So I mean, Black's definitely starting. And I mean, yeah, one of those guys could beat him out, but I think it's going to be. To me, it feels like Jeep Wade came in here and saw like the guys that Donovan recruited, and this is like he's been working with them. I mean, he worked with them all during bowl practice. So I mean, if they felt great about Grant Bricks, they probably wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like and the same with Preston too. Although I mean, it's not to say that Jeep Wade can't work with them, and if they stick around for another year, that they can't be contributors or something like that. But yeah, it's year 3, so it's kind of like it's kind of. You got to make your move if you're one of those guys. So
to me, it was very indicative of how quickly they went after offensive linemen in the transfer portal. Yes, I know it was a need, obviously, and they needed to fill some spots, but it was like boom, 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 and it was clear that Wade wanted to remake the room like in his mold and in his way.
Yeah, and the thing about 2 to me is that they added 3. I thought they would be done when they got 2, because then I thought, okay, well, now you've got that left guard spot, you've got Gatula, you've got Bricks, you've got plenty of guys who could compete for that spot, and they're like, nah, we want to get like a surefire starter. So we'll see. I mean, that doesn't mean that those other guys can't. Like you said, if one of them steps forward, if Grant Brick, like maybe that's what they needed. Maybe they needed a wake up call. But it very much seems like that Nebraska was like, we can't afford to wait on development. Like, we need starting level players now, and that's what it feels like to me. So
because it felt like to me that Gunner kind of regressed last year. I thought he was better in 2024. I felt like he regressed a lot actually in 2025, especially I remember the Minnesota game. I mean, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I like his joke, but there was a time, during the Minnesota game when he didn't even block his guy. It was like, what's going on here? This is not the Gunner Gatula I remember. So I think so I think I hope Gunner and Grant and Preston all can develop and play at a high level and offer some competition to these guys. But I think getting these linemen, like you said, getting a third lineman indicates that they know that they needed to fix the line quickly and that maybe some of these young guys just weren't ready yet. But on the other hand, you said year 3. I mean, when are they going to be ready, if ever? I'm hoping they are. I'm not saying they suck, they're not going to be ready ever. But year 3, it's kind of like, you either you either, produce or find somewhere else. So I'm hoping maybe, this spring will offer them an opportunity to at least provide some competition to the new guys coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at least good that none of them have left yet. So, and
Yeah,
I do think Atula would be better suited to play inside. I still have
I do
hope
so.
that Bricks could be. I mean, maybe Grant Bricks will be the swing tackle this year, because it's not like you're probably gonna have to play more than two. So,
Yeah.
those depth pieces are important. I mean, you want to have eight or nine really good offensive linemen, and I feel like they felt like they had that last year, but I don't think that actually came to fruition. So we'll see. I expect to have more offensive output now. Nebraska does not have a relic offensive lineman blocking for a statue. Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, he did remind you of a late career Drew Bledsoe there, because it was like if the rush got into the backfield, he just swallowed him up. He just had
Yeah.
nowhere to go. I mean, even on the play where he got hurt, it was like he could have probably stepped up and got rid of the ball. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I do think there's something to that, and I think Nebraska really did get a playmaker at the quarterback position. So I know it's hard to think, but I do think Nebraska actually upgraded, because like they were, it's the Signetti thing of like, valuing production over potential. They paid 2 years for potential, and it never came to fruition. Now it's time to pay for some production, and I feel like that's more what they've done in this portal. You look at every single guy they've produced, pretty much at a college level. They've started, they've contributed. I mean, you look at Stodmeyer had a good season. You look at Owen Chambliss. You look at the safety McDougal. I mean, some of those guys are like Will Hawthorne. Obviously, is more of like a recruiting.
Google is intriguing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so like I just feel like they went out and got a lot of guys that not based on like potential. They didn't care about the rankings so much. They just went and got like solid football players, and I think that's one lesson to take away from Signetti, is that you don't have to necessarily have like he took this whole blue chip argument, like the whole Bud Elliott, the CBA, like the blue chip ratio, and he blew that thing out of the water like Indiana did. And part of the reason they did that is they found guys that were productive, and they didn't like scoff at guys that are from the FCS or whatever. Like, it's like, hey, this guy, I've seen it with my own two eyes. He could play football. I've seen him produce. Like, let's see what he can do here. Whereas it felt like some of these programs, Nebraska included, are just always betting on the potential of these guys. Whereas Signetti's like, I'll just go get a 22-year-old, 23-year-old who already knows how to play, and you're trying to develop a 19-year-old. So, I mean, I do think that there is some of that, and I feel like, Calandria to me really represents kind of like, I don't know, just like not a shift per se, but just what it would have been like had they bet on production 2 years ago instead of betting on their potential. Not that, I mean, it's hard to blame Nebraska for taking Dylan Raiola, right? Because he was a game-changing talent. But looking back 2 years from now, it probably would have been better if they'd gone with a veteran.
Yeah. And I mean, even when you look at, Miami too, we talk about this game coming up on Monday, Malachi Toney, 3-star receiver from a high school in Florida where receivers grow on trees. And, now he's one of the best freshmen in the country. And Shamar Brown, they picked up, from an FCS school, contributing in their backfield, scoring, a key touchdown late in the game against Ole Miss. I mean, there is something to taking these lower rung players, so to speak, and developing them. So it's really interesting. And I mean, even when you look at Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, for Ole Miss, he was a former Division II quarterback last year, and now he was, battling with Miami to go to the national championship game. So I think honestly, these playoffs might have woken the coaches up, not like, hey, we need to be there, but hey, look at these teams that are, that are flourishing with talent that may not be considered elite, and I use the elite in air quotes. So
Yeah, it's kind of flip things, on top of its head. That's something with teams figured that out in college basketball too, trying to get really, really old. And like, so we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to see how everything, works out. But high school recruiting could take a hit, if guys are just, if they're gonna bypass, the star rankings for lesser rated, on the star scale players who have more production, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting moving forward. I do agree with this point from Dion. Thanks for the comment from YouTube. Nebraska will have a better team, but a worse record next year. I do think that that's going to be true. I think that they're going to be more competitive against, teams like Indiana and Illinois and Washington. I don't think they're going to get beat, 40-10 by Iowa or whatever, but they might end up only winning 6 games next year. So it's going to be kind of this weird, where it feels like the team's better, but the record might not reflect it.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then depending on how they lose the games, then I know people want to say fire Matt Rule, but I think he deserves his shot to build this out.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get fired next year. I think
No.
it would be. I just
Unless
don't see a
they go
scenario where
0-12 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if they go 2-10 and lose one of those bye games and lose every Big Ten game, then maybe maybe you would have to fire him, but I don't see that happening. So.
No, I don't either.
So we'll see, but yeah, it's not going to be getting to a bowl game. It's not going to be easy. That will be an accomplishment next year with the schedule the way it is, and would have been nice if for Nebraska. I'm not saying for anybody else, but might have been nice for Nebraska if DeMond Williams went somewhere else.
I know, that's why I was so excited. Oh yeah, he's going somewhere else, and then I got he's staying. I'm like, oh man.
Not that they probably just would have got like. What, when that whole thing happened, I thought, I wonder if Dylan Raiola would go to Washington, because it's just like one quarterback
that's not
leaves.
For the brand. You got to go for the big brands, Chris. Look who you're talking about. You got to go for the flashy stuff and the shiny brands and all the cool Instagram pictures with the 75 different Oregon uniforms. I mean, I think Washington has a bunch of uniforms too, but that just wouldn't be good for the brand, Chris.
I did think it was very funny. There was like a meme of or someone made it into like a meme, but when Mahomes had to wear the Oregon jersey,
yeah,
that was hilarious. That they're like, and someone was like, "Now this is getting ridiculous," because they had the Oregon Raiola and the Oregon commit, and then side by side it was with Mahomes in the Oregon jersey, and it was like, "Now this is getting insane."
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. So yeah, it would have been hilarious. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that now Miami kind of got left without a quarterback, but now they're trying to get the Duke quarterback, it seems like. So
the Duke quarterback?
Yeah, he entered the portal, Mensa or whatever his name is. So now
he'd be a good fit.
Now Duke's like pissed because they, haven't had a contract with him. So they're kind of in the same boat.
Duke's old coaches? You know who Duke's coaches?
Yeah, Manny Diaz.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, who knows?
Not only am I going to win the national championship with your old team, Manny, but I'm also going to take your quarterback, and you can kiss my ass as we go, reload on talent. That's so funny. I didn't even realize that they were trying to go after Mensa. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so Duke wins the ACC championship, doesn't make a bowl game, and now going to lose their quarterback, it seems.
But the guy who replaced you does make the national championship, steals your quarterback, and says "F you" on the way out.
It's and the thing, and like Duke was like, I mean, their thing is like, well, I think it's a little bit different than the DeMond Williams thing because he actually went in the portal, but I think Duke is like, well, we can't. You can only get rev share money from Duke, so I don't know. It's a weird contract situation, but it's just the wild west right now, and I think that
it definitely is. But Miami has FU money, so they can definitely, if need be, I'm sure they can figure something out.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, we won't pay you rev share, then we'll just pay you $8 million in NIL, and so I mean, that's what it is. They don't care. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes if Duke, tries to take it, legal, take another legal step like Washington. I mean, you got to give credit to Washington, and the Big Ten actually helped them out too, but they like circled the wagons quickly to prevent that whole thing from happening. And
well, it's wild that Williams had the same agent as his head coach.
I know.
That was crazy. Wonder what
those. And then his agent quit. And then his agent quit because he's like, I can't support these moves. And what's crazy is that the agent, worked out this deal with the University of Washington, and then behind his back, DeMond Williams started having these conversations with other people. And so his agent was like, I mean, you almost have to, because it's like, if I'm an agent, like the people I'm negotiating with have to know that my agreements are valid and solid. And so like the agent had to cut him loose. And so that's crazy, man. You're doing deals behind your agent's back and he's cutting you loose. Like that's wild. So it's
a wild west out here, Chris. It really is. I mean,
it really is, because everybody's like, they're all literally doing the thing where it's like, well, what can we get away with? And that's like where Miami's at right now. And it's like, well, we don't have a quarterback, so there doesn't seem to be any rules or accountability. So why not? And
I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. It's not just the players. It's not just the players. I mean, you had the Ole Miss coaches preparing for the Miami game while they were flying back and
Yep.
forth to interviews with LSU. I mean, it's like,
And then like Princewell, Ole Miss people are pissed at Lane Kiffin because he, like the last day before the portal, he got Princewell to hop in there, and then he got a starting linebacker from Ole Miss. And these were like Princewell's the same situation where he signed his deal with Ole Miss, and now he's in the portal. So it's not getting as much traction, but there's definitely that rivalry is going to be very interesting going forward. Like I'm
I didn't
definitely going to be
realize our principal
watching.
hopped in the portal. I must have missed a bunch. Like, I've been
He
flying
did.
around. You did?
Well, I mean, things happen so like it's insane. But yeah, so he literally the day before it closed, he hopped in the portal and
Oh,
one of their starting linebackers too. So
oh.
it's so
I love
Lane,
Lane as a coach. I love his moxie, and I'm thinking even back to when he left for USC and Tennessee fans were pissed. He doesn't seem to leave any place clean.
and he doesn't seem to care. So I mean, it's
No, it's like, and he'll be like tweeting, like even like he was like tweeting, like, "Oh, good luck, Ole Miss. Pete's a great coach." Like as he was doing interviews for LSU, it's like, all right, that's a little strange. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like,
it's
uh,
why the whole
it
thing
is
is
wild.
wild.
I wish
Yeah.
we could get wild. We need to like have some scandals or like have some FU money. It seems like we play things too much by the rules, Chris. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, I don't know if we probably don't have the FU money to get people to, but yeah, I
No,
mean, I don't know. If Nebraska had the money to do it, it's like one of those things. You're mad if it happens to your team, but you're happy if your team does it. So it's just kind
yeah,
of until like there's actually some adults that step up and set like a standard of rules that teams have to follow. Like the NFL has a salary cap. Like, there's only so many things you can do. You can manipulate the salary cap, sure, but there's a certain set of rules you have to follow. And college football, doesn't have that. So until they do, like I can't blame people for, pushing the boundaries. Cause like in some sense, like I do believe that philosophy, like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. You know what I mean? Like if there's a gray area, that I can get a competitive advantage, I'm sure as hell going to take advantage of it until someone defines, makes it black and white. And that's what teams like Miami and people like Lane Kiffin, that's what they're doing. And, until that gets defined, they're going to keep doing it.
well, it's like baseball too. I mean, the Cubs just signed Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $256 million contract while deferring Shohei Ohtani's contract for like 60 years. Not really, but
The
it's
Dodgers,
like
you mean? Yeah, the
there,
Dodgers.
there, there needs to be like, I don't know, like I do believe that baseball needs a salary cap, and I'm starting to believe that college football needs a salary cap.
Yeah, that would be, something. They need something. It needs at least.
Because the Dodgers are just getting everybody, man. They're getting they have a little all-star team, and their B team could like beat probably the best team in the second best team in baseball. It's crazy.
Yeah, baseball's needed a salary cap for a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they ever take that step or not. I think one thing too, it's really interesting with the baseball thing, and I haven't watched baseball. I'm not that big of a fan, but they don't have, and I didn't realize this, but they don't have like in the NFL shares all their TV money. Baseball
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do that. They have like the Dodgers have their own TV money, and
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
like the Cubs. So that's why the Dodgers have so much freaking money, and everybody else doesn't. And so now Rob Manfred's talking about, like a shared media right thing. So I think
I
baseball is going to
hate
be
Rob
going
Manfred,
through.
but I wouldn't be opposed to a shared media right thing.
Yeah, so it's going to be, I don't know, baseball is going to be going through. It's so much different. Like baseball and basketball are so much different because the NFL, right? Like it's so much an easier like week to week thing. Like, hey, here's week 1. We'll tell you week 1 to 17. Whereas baseball and basketball, there's games Monday through Friday. So it's a little bit different in terms of like those pay-per-view packages, as far as like you can't sell, like, the NFL can sell all of its games to NFL, to CBS and Fox, right? Like the NBA and the MLB can't really do that. So they're relying on these local, broadcasters to carry these 162 games or whatever. And teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees, like that, they're cashing in. And so, it's going to be a lot of the economics of sports, and I know that some teams are like, oh, how come my team can't spend this much? Well, they just don't have the money. I mean, that's where like, Nebraska might just not have the money of some of these other programs, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, no, it just sucks when you see Texas Tech putting up a billboard in Times Square and you can barely get, the second string defensive tackle from Iowa Western Community College. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
it does suck. Yeah.
it does suck, but I mean, I am happy with what they have been able to do. To just kind of circle back to Nebraska here, I am happy with what they've been able to do, and I've been pleased with the portal additions. We have addressed offensive and defensive line just from a numbers standpoint. Can they produce? We don't know yet, but they have made an effort to address the biggest needs. And I know some people were a little bit kind of down after the whole Minchie thing, but I thought that they rebounded nicely and have been able to put together a solid portal class.
Yeah, man, I think Calandria / Kalen, I would honestly take that group over Minchie. So because I think Calandria is going to be better this year, and then I think with Kalen it nullifies that, because the thing I liked about Minchie is he had that 2-year window, and so we'll see how that works out. He could still be a great player, and I think he is in a good spot, but I think Nebraska ended up a good spot too, with their quarterback position, and just have to see how things kind of develop moving forward. I did want to touch quickly on basketball today, since we've been a full, we don't talk a ton about basketball, but
we will. We'll see.
Going to trying to go 18-0 today against Northwestern on the road, and this, I feel like it's a good matchup for Nebraska. Northwestern does not, they don't shoot the 3 ball well. They basically have one really good player, Nick Martinelli, who leads the Big Ten in scoring. So like, if he goes off for like 40 points, that's the thing that worries me about this team. But they don't shoot very many threes, and Nebraska's going to make you shoot threes. Like, that's kind of their defense, and Northwestern's not very good at it. They do defend the 3 really well, though. They only allow teams to shoot 29% from 3. And so against a Nebraska team that, they're top 20 in 3-point makes and attempts. So, the Huskers are going to have to shoot the ball well today, but that's kind of always their thing, right? Like, I just feel like they've got I feel like they've just found such an identity, like this is who we are. Like, we're going to play defense. We're going to do a really good job defensive rebounding. Like, we're not necessarily going to be like a great team at, blocking shots, but we're going to hold you to one possession. We're not going to foul. We're not going to turn it over. We're not going to give you anything easy. And then we're just going to shoot the lights out. Like, we're going to shoot the crap out of the ball. And that's what they're doing. And it's been impressive. So hopefully they can keep it rolling today. It's never easy to win on the road in the Big Ten. So, you never know.
At least I don't have Boo Booey anymore. I'm so glad I don't have to see him anymore. Oh, he was such a terror on the court. That's why I'll be happy when Bruce Thornton for Ohio State graduates. But no, just to
someday.
yeah, someday. Yeah, Nebraska, they really have seemed to have found an identity, and they're a well-oiled machine. Like you said, they play solid defense. They've been much better on the glass. And, just the way they play on the offensive end, they share the basketball. They know where each other is on the court at all times. And there's not one player that you have to rely on to score. And it's easy to kind of, as a player, to kind of just, take it upon yourself to be the guy, be that scorer, want to be that player. And it seems like in the best way possible, nobody wants to be that player. They're all very happy with their roles. And, Price Sanford could have a great night. Braden Frager could have a great night. Berkey could, have a really good scoring night one of these games. It's not about, who scores or who's the star on this team and we got to get the ball to him. It's, hey, we're a team. Let's work in sync and, just give it to the hot hand. And to me, that's been the most striking thing about this team. Is that even with a mix of portal players, they're playing like a well-oiled machine. They really are. And I know, we earlier in his time at Nebraska, we were questioning Fred Hoiberg's ability to, get talent in the transfer portal and develop. But between guys like Bryce Williams, Casey Tominaga, Braden Frager, and his work over the last 3 years in the transfer portal, at this point, I'd just let him do whatever the hell he wants, because whatever he's doing is working.
Yeah, so there's some interesting. So Northwestern is like Nebraska in some ways, in that both teams really value the basketball. Northwestern actually turns the ball over the least of any team in college basketball, 8.4 times per game. Nebraska only turns it over 9.3 times. They both foul very little. Nebraska has the 6th fewest fouls in college basketball. They're also both top 20 in assist rate. So Northwestern, a team that takes care of the ball. They're good with assists. So I feel like they're going to get some looks today. Just, depends if they can knock down those shots. But, overall, I feel like this is a matchup that's pretty good for Nebraska. And, it's just a matter of staying sharp on the road. As long as they can do that, I feel like they're, defensively and with their rebounding and stuff like that, I feel like they have a good chance to win this game. So that's we'll make a prediction. I think Nebraska will improve to 18-0 today. I'm not sure if they'll cover the spread. I got to double check what it is, but
Yeah.
so I'm not sure if they'll do that. I think they'll probably win by double digits. The spread, 5.5 points. So I'll say that they'll cover the spread there. I'll say they'll win like 77-67, something like that, or 80, like 80-70, 80.
I mean, people thought that Oregon was going to provide a challenge, and we blew the doors off Oregon. So,
man, that was holy crap.
I was not expecting that. I was thinking tough Tuesday night games. Sometimes these games can be rough, slow start, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oregon hung around it for a little bit, but then it was just like an avalanche of baskets.
So hopefully, it'll be an avalanche of baskets today. So we will wrap it up there, you guys. We'll be back on Monday to discuss everything that happens on the court. I'm sure there'll be some more football news, maybe some more clarity with Mike Ekeler before then. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.